Hello, me lovelies. Well, got a special guest with me. I'm sorry I'm late, but he insisted on coming on in his bunny outfit, bunny girl outfit, and I said, no, no, no. I said, get that off. I'm not going to have my channel banned. I'm not going to have my channel banned. If that site comes on the screen, I'm not putting it on. So he had to go and change into something more suitable. But here is the man himself, Bobby from The Real Honest Truth.
Good
Hiya,
evening, Anne.
Bobby.
Good
Hiya.
evening. Well,
Come on.
I'll start off by saying you've been very complimentary. You've put a new meaning on clickbait. What on earth was that picture of me?
You know you sent me that picture. You know you did. You sent me that picture. Because what it is,
That's because
I've got to explain to people, Bobby, right? Now, Bobby, he's been having pops at Danny G, and quite rightly, at saying that Danny G is just a lazy bum who bums off his family and bums off the state. Now, I'll tell you something about Bobby. Bobby has always worked all his life. Bobby has always provided for his family, old school, and he's that determined he would provide for his family. I hope you don't mind me mentioning this,
thank
Bobby,
you.
but I
Yes,
just have to mention it to people, let them know what kind of person you are.
thank you.
Anyway, what happened was Bobby fell on hard times. There was a period where he fell on hard times. Anyway, he couldn't get work, could he? Couldn't get work. And the only work he could get was in the Bob, and I'll put it in my gob lounge, as a bunny girl. And that's how dedicated he was to his family. He actually became a bunny girl because you weren't going to have them want him for anything, were you, Bobby? Were you, Bobby?
Well, listen, me and you, Efna, were like that. We
Yeah.
were like that, and needs must, needs must. Anyway, and thank you for the kind words. That was very nice of you. Yeah. Let's start off. I mean, Danny G. I don't know a great deal about Danny G. I haven't. I've watched. Obviously, when you see him on screen, he's fascinating. He's a huge character, and you know, the more you watch him, the more you try and understand him. And I didn't consider him a bad guy. But yeah, what I spotted, you were spot on there, and he's not doing what a man. I mean, yeah, you'll think like me, and we're old
Mm.
school. You know, your parents bring you up, they look after you, and as they get older, it's your turn to look after them. That's how it works.
Yeah.
You know, and likewise with your own children. And I don't see that in Danny one bit.
Oh, no. No.
He's very extreme, very narcissistic, egoistic, and I do believe he's a little bit antisocial. He has a problem mixing with people. You know, he's not a little bit
He's,
of a sociopath, if you like.
he's definitely a sociopath, but how I met him, I'll let you know quickly how I
Yeah,
first
yeah,
began with him. It's way, way back because it was Sean when I was, me and Sean was mates. Sean was going to get him on. And so I thought I'd go and look at this fella. And I thought he's weird, isn't he? Very aggressive, very loud. But I never saw anything controversial in him, even though he was very loud and aggressive. But I remember he was going, this was when Daddy Gate blew up. And you know,
yeah.
the
Anybody who
thing,
doesn't know, we're talking about Sean Atwood's channel. That's right.
the thing with Kelsey that he did. Anyway, people were getting onto him. Oh, you can't go on Sean's channel. You can't go on Sean. Look what he's just done. Look what he's just done with that young woman. So anyway, he was going at them. Don't you tell me it's up to Sean and his partner what they do in the bedroom. It's up to them. And he was really going at it. Well,
Right.
then Sean, if you remember, lost his channel for a
Hmm.
short while. It went down and he lost it. Oh,
Yeah.
Bobby, that's when I realized, oh, so I don't like you. Like that, Danny was suddenly, when people saying, oh, you don't want to go on Sean's, I don't know anything about Sean. I couldn't care less. I'm not defending Sean. I've never met the fella. I've only spoke to him about this interview. I don't care. The minute his channel went back up again and he thought, oh, where we are, the interview's back on again, he was, don't you call Sean, don't you come on here calling Sean. And I thought he's just up his backside for what he
Yeah.
got out of him. So anyway, he did that. And time moved on. I never took much notice of him. But then what happened was the infamous party he had with his daughter's school friend. And everyone was gobsmacked like that. I was gobsmacked. But one thing I realized that just shot me face was his wife was just as bad as he was. She
Yeah.
was just as bad as him. And what she did with that young girl, oh, she went mad. What I said about it, I did a video about it. And I said, "What the hell are you? What's wrong with you?" I said, "You can I said, "Men do stupid things, which they do, Bobby, when they drink, and men do stupid things."
Yeah.
I said, "Women don't do things like that." I said, "They don't to a young girl." It was like she was getting her ready for something. Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah. Well,
He had to go at me, and he kept calling me for everything, and that was it. But I wouldn't give the man the time of day or it.
no. I've heard about this notorious video where he's playing drinks
Yeah.
to a young girl and everybody kicked off about it, but
Yeah.
I've never seen it. And if anybody has it and they can pass it on to me, I'd like to review it. I'd like to have a look at that and just see
I
what.
think I've got it, but it's disturbing. What it is they're not only drinking, Bobby, I can tell you that. And he's got the girl right next to him, and his wife's just off camera, but you can tell she's there.
Right.
And she's not. And he says at one point, and he puts a smirk on his face, "Come on, drink out of me, horn," because he has this horn. And it's like, good God. But she started doing this, going up and gyrating behind it and getting the hips and getting the girl's hips to gyrate and doing this, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, twerking or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I said, that looks like a bloody groomer, a woman grooming a kid.
Yeah.
And he didn't like it. And that was it. She wasn't upset that I called her, that I said it looked too much, it looked creepy, because it looked like she was a lesbian. And she went mad. She was highly insulted because I called her a lesbian. And I did a video and said, "How dare you?" I said, "Get offended by being called a lesbian. I know lesbians, they wouldn't even do what you did that night. They wouldn't be so disgusting and vulgar." But it is. Oh, I'll just say hello to some people. Hello, Sharon, darling. Oh, God. You were there the other night, weren't you, Bobby? Sharon.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Sharon and Mandy.
Mandy's there. Oh, God, yeah, there we go. Kelsey, she's there. G100, David, Peter. But yeah, just say hello to a few people there.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Do you know, I'll tell you what, Bobby. Tell you what, that's Sharon one. First time I've had one. Oh, did you hear it?
Say that again.
Did you,
Sorry.
Sharon, did you hear it the other day?
What's that?
When she was on me live?
Oh, I thought you'd had a drink, Sharon. She were on form, wasn't she?
Shall tell you what, Bobby. I actually felt sorry for Mandy at one point. I did feel sorry for Mandy because there was Mandy trying to, talk about her ailments. And just every time Mandy came up with an ailment, Sharon came up with like 2 others or 3 others or 4 others. It was actually like being in, a university medical library. All the things that between the two of them, the things they had to tell you now, it's amazing that they're still walking around.
That's what put me off. I thought they're a really good girly night there, and ailments were coming out, and I thought this is where I have to disappear.
Oh, definitely.
But it was great to see all three of you there. And you what's the word? You hit it off really well. You bonded really well as all three of you. And I thought, no, I'm not going to jump on. But it is lovely to see you all. But back to Danny G. What it is with me. I mean, yeah, we all make mistakes in life. I've got one that I made on YouTube. Everybody knows about it, and I'm going to live with that for the rest of my life, according to people, even in your chat, as I'm mentioning it. So be it. You've got to embrace it. It's part of the deal. Simple as that. This is where Danny won't, you see. He won't embrace anything. And all he does, is feed the trolls. As I've said in a video, he must have made at least 30 videos dedicated to the trolls, and then he's saying that they don't bother you. Now that what I'm seeing now, don't think I'm putting him on the same level as Decker Eggy, but it's similar traits, if you like.
Yeah.
Decker Eggy would say, "Oh, the trolls, they want to be me, and they can't. They're all useless." Danny's saying these things now, and it's like, yeah, there's something wrong in his head. Totally, there's something. But I know I'm whittling on, but I'm glad you mentioned Tony because she's party to all this.
Oh yeah,
She
she's an
seems a
equal
lovely
to it.
lass. She seems a lovely lass, but she's sat there agreeing with everything he says, and um, it's like sometimes she dare not agree with him,
No, no, Bobby.
which is which is a signal, isn't it? When it's a
No,
red
no.
flag, is that?
Just let's say something on that. Someone said that in a comment that I put on. I put a comment on, your video you did, and someone retained and have gone on like this. Well, she's scared to this. She's scared. No, she isn't.
Right.
She's an equal to what he's doing. I can't remember him saying, right, you do that to that young girl. You sit there right next to me and this
Right.
girl and
Right.
giggle and laugh away. No one told her when he was telling the story about how he beat up that fella and she's sitting there
Oh,
giggling and tittering.
that was
She was doing that.
ridiculous.
What it is, she's that type of woman that really gets, oh, she gets it on. She gets the hotties. She gets the hotties when a man is violent or aggressive. That's the feeling I
Right.
get.
Right.
So she's an equal partner. It's not that she's scared or terrified. I think, for all you say about Danny G, I don't think he'd ever attack a woman. So
Well,
she'd have no fear in kicking him out. I think she has kicked him out once, hasn't she? Or they're going to split up.
he
But
left her, didn't he, for a young girl, apparently.
but I know at one point he was saying they were getting divorced, weren't they? But
Mm.
I've got the feeling he'd never touch a woman. He might go for a man, but he'd never touch a
Well,
woman.
that's my perspective is I don't think he'd ever touch a man because I think it's all bravado. I honestly don't think he's ever done anything where the stories you hear, like you said yourself, with Sean Atwood, he ran away and then he came back and that's his style. That is Danny's style. If something kicked off, he'd be off. I do
Mm.
believe that. That's a man's opinion. It's all bravado, all this hard man bit. And I think that's his problem. That's his mental problem. And he has got a mental problem. He does believe he was born a Viking, which it's
Oh, I
just a
know.
ridiculous statement.
He doesn't realise this is what it is. He can't marry up to. He's one of these people, and we've all met them, Bobby. We've all met men like this, haven't you? That you, especially when you go into a pub and there's a group of men, you'll get one who's a real pain in the arse, and
Yeah,
everyone thinks they're a pain in the arse, and they just brag and brag. I, me, and they think they are brilliant, better than everyone else. And don't you just sit there and you think, oh, Christ, just get through it. Just get
yeah,
through it.
yeah. That's what it is. I mean, it's when I grew up, I was told to watch for the quiet ones, and it's true. It's true. It's not
Mm,
the mouthy ones. Danny's the mouthy one at the front, and when it all kicks off, he
definitely.
steps back, and the quiet one's jumping, and
Yeah.
that's all he is. There's nobody fears him. He's just, he's sad because he's wanting to be loved. Let's be honest. He's wanting to be loved. He wants everybody to know him. He talks of signing autographs and things, and it's like this is what Decker Hagee were doing. I can
Yeah.
see, like, I'm not particular. I'm not talking about Decker Hagee's crimes and associating anything like that with Danny at all. But his traits are very similar in a lot of ways. They're both very narcissistic sociopaths, in my
It
opinion.
is. And this is what gets me, because that's how I can get in trouble with people, because I think they're having a joke, because I'll have little jokes. I'll big myself up and go, no, I'm wonderful, I'm brilliant,
Yeah,
but I'm doing it to take the pee out of myself,
yeah, but
that way.
you're a
And that's
scouser.
it.
We expect that.
So I think other people are doing that. And I remember, there's one funny one with Decker Heggie. And what he did, he was giving away to his members photographs with it signed in gold pen.
Oh,
Do you
yes.
remember that?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I did a video because I thought, oh, he's winding people up here. He's getting the attention. He knows what he's doing. He's playing the crowd. So I said, you're all taking him seriously. He's playing the crowd in Gold Pen. Oh, he
Yeah.
did a video, didn't he? Back to me. He was fuming. He was being serious.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought, how could you be up so
correct.
far up your own arse?
Correct. Well, the same thing with Danny is £70 to go out with him for the day. And he's going to take everybody on this outdoor pursuit and put them in really dangerous situations. I don't know if you've seen the video. Really dangerous situations. Groups of 5, take them in deep waters,
Yeah.
etc. And he's going to make sure they're okay. And he's only got life skills on. What? How would anybody offer that off that surface who's only got life skills, and who in the right head is going to trust somebody who's only got life skills? You know, you want Bear Grylls with you or somebody, don't you? It's about the
it's a dream.
it's a dream, and this is what he wants to be.
It's just a dream. It's like because this is what to forget. This is what I was trying to tell what you call the Shadowboxer when he was building the first time he was building this pit of doom, not the second time. And I said, you'll have to be careful. No, I said you'll have to be totally insured. And he was going on what was it? I'll make them sign a disclaimer. No, it might have been I'll make them sign a disclaimer saying that, you know, if anything happens, that was a decade when the fight was going on.
Yeah.
And I said, if one of these fighters gets injured, said, you're in prison. I said, mate, you're in prison for gross negligence. Oh, all I have to do is make them sign a waiver and all this. I said, you can't. I said, you can't write into a contract something that supersedes the law. No. And that, so that you can't say, I am going to not take responsibility because that person signed a contract.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can't supersede the law. So I said, even though they've signed the contract, you still get prosecuted.
Well, you need to watch that video where Danny's trying to sell this outdoor pursuit trail, because he says exactly the same. I'm going to have everybody sign waivers, and if anybody dies, I'm covered. And I'm sat there thinking, no, that's not how the law works, Danny. And at the same time, I'm thinking, how on earth does he think he's going to get insurance to do all this when he's only got life skills? It's outrageous, isn't it, Anne? It's outrageous.
You won't get, this is where the idiots and this is where the children, you cannot, and it always gets me when they say, I'll get them to sign you can't, people, get it into your head out there. You cannot supersede any law that's out there by putting in a contract and getting someone to sign it. Like if you get someone to say, right, a 14-year-old, I agree to let you go to bed with me, even though you're 40 years old.
Yeah.
And you get them to sign it. You can't then turn around and say, oh, they signed it. No, it's still a criminal act. No. You can't do it. But you just let them get on with it. But you know it's never going to happen anyway.
It's outrageous, and so many people are telling him how outrageous Danny is, but he's not listening to us, to any of us. He's not listening. And he won't. He never will. I mean, it was on a video I watched with his new mate Pro Bro. Apparently, he's a semi-pro. Is this guy golfer? And he's talking to him, and he just interrupts Pro Bro to talk to the camera. It's all about him, and he just cut him dead. And I thought, that's you, Danny. That's you. It's all about you. Everything. He's a lot of issues in his head, but I do find myself getting a little bit wound up over Tony. I do. And people can say she's done nothing wrong, but at the end of the day, he's only there. He's only there because she's a cash cow. Let's be honest. She's paying for things. She's paying for it. I mean, you'll probably know better than me, but with his social media, his YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it is, all the Instagram. I don't think he's making enough money to cover, supporting a family.
Well, he's not let's put it this way: he's not making vast amounts of money. And do you remember? Oh God, how embarrassing! Didn't he put himself on OnlyFans?
Did he?
Oh, I mean, that's how up his own hoop he is. He thinks he's Mr. Wonderful, but he doesn't realise people are watching him because he's a lol cow.
Yes,
That's what he is. He's a lol cow,
he
and
is.
that's why people are watching him.
Yes.
So they're getting it. So it's just, how are you? Did you see? I saw Cumbrian Truth. Are you Cumbrian?
Hiya, Ash. Hiya,
Are you
Cumbrian.
V?
And
But
hiya, V. Yes.
yeah,
Um,
so he doesn't realise. He thinks he's. Oh God! Yeah. Once I said to him, "This is before he starts showing himself to be the really nasty thing he can be." I said, "Well, do you want to come on and do a live with me?" Just asked him. Said, "If you want to." Oh, Bobby, it was so typical. He sent me a voice message. Well, I don't know. I don't know. You have a lot of drama surrounding you. I thought, you cheeky cat, I have a lot of drama. I thought, what do you have bleeding surrounding you? And so that's just what you expect from him. He's important.
yeah.
So he'd never say, yeah, I'll do. Like I
Yeah.
asked you to do this. Would you like to come on here? And you said, yeah. He wouldn't make it that simple.
Oh,
He'd
no.
want to know how many viewers you've got, how many subs you've got, and all this business. Because he's important.
Yes. Well, if you watch his chat, he's trying to condition his chat. If you watch it, anybody who says, the slightest thing about him, they're gone. So
Yeah.
the chats become very boring and still. It's very occasionally somebody jumps on and tells the truth, but it's not how you want on it in a channel. Yeah, you don't want it. I mean, I do a live, I'll get a load of stick. But unless they're really, really offensive, I ask the mods to leave them. They've got an opinion, and if it's something that I think I can justify, I'll let them say it. But Danny, it's the slightest thing. He just does not take criticism at all.
Oh no, he won't take it. But he says out with this, he was going to be this bigger than life character. But the thing is, he forgot he's not an endearing bigger than life character. He's just a nasty bigger than life character. Where if you want to get that bigger than life character, you've got to be something appealing as well with it.
You've either got to have charisma, character, or a very good talent. And like yourself, you're a character. You're very much a character. You've got a certain amount of charisma. Same with that. It's same with Ed Jugman. He's quite charismatic. But but Danny's got neither of those three.
Can you hear this?
Yeah, is that your keyboard?
Well, that's my nails on the table. Did you just compare me with Scaredo Man?
No.
You said me, and then you said
Man.
Scaredo Man. I mean, look,
We all know.
Me, talented. You wait. I'm doing me diva at the moment. You wait until I finish my diva moment. I have to take them when I can, Bobby. I have to take them when I can. You dare to put me in the same category, my talent, my artistic talent, me who trained for years to be in the theatre. You are comparing me with some backstreet comedian, who does his comedy for free at the clubs. I don't think so, darling. I don't think so. There we are. I've had my moment.
But on the face of it, Anne, we all know there's something behind the scenes with you and Craig. I don't think it's a love-hate relationship. I think it's a bit more, let's go to the supermarket and hold hands. I think it's more like that friendship.
Well, I met him, don't you?
Yes, you did. Yeah, he told me.
Yeah. Did he tell you all of it?
He didn't say much, no.
But I'm telling you, all that I'm saying is, I'm not saying it, and I'm not saying it. Kelsey knows.
You see, this is YouTube, and we'll get a bit of stick, me and you, now for mentioning Craig, for people who just don't like Craig.
And that's their choice. On, if you don't like Craig, come on, slag him. Come on, you're all welcome.
And he's done things in the past that I thought were absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable, inappropriate. But you've got to give people a second chance, and I think, I don't know if does Craig have autism?
No, I think he's got something. He's
Is
got
it that
something.
ADH? What is it called?
Oh God, yeah, ADHD. But the problem is, right, when he uses ADHD as
Hmm.
if it's Tourette's, and he thinks that ADHD means that you can't stop what comes out of your mouth. He hasn't got Tourette's. He just has no. And this is what I say.
Hmm.
He most probably does have ADHD because you can see he can't stay still. So I'm not doubting he has ADHD. But the
Yeah.
thing about ADHD, Bobby, is that you can use as an excuse when you're a kid or a youngster or in your 20s.
Yeah.
But by the time you get into your 40s, you should have control of it. And I think what happened, this is my personal view, and I've said this to Craig, I've said it to him, so I'm not saying that I haven't said to his face. What it is, he was spoilt rotten. He was given no boundaries. He was given nothing. If anything happened, he told me something when I met him that
Right.
happened. And his papa's response to it. Now, if I'd done that, I would have been told by my papa, you'll bloody well pay for that now and you'll clean it up.
Yeah.
Clean it right up now and you pay for it. That didn't happen to him.
No,
What happened to him
no.
was Papa sorted it out.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. So that's why I think he's got no self-control. But I don't buy this that
But
when he's in the crap, it's always the ADHD he comes out with.
But there is something, because I mean I've sat with Craig alongside him for a good few hours, and he cannot keep still at all.
No, he
And
can't.
I said to Chrissy, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I said to Chrissy, what's he like? You know, do you get a peaceful night's sleep? And she went, no, he's always twitching, and it's like there's something there, isn't there? There's
Yeah.
something there.
It most something I say it is ADHD that he's got, but as I say, this is why I say to people, obviously say this, you know, if you're not going to, because he's adopted, that's no
That's right.
secret either. If you're going to adopt a child, please bring them up with boundaries and bring them
Yeah.
up with rules
Morals.
and regulations and make them understand that actions have consequences. If you're not prepared to do that and you're just going to treat them like, lovely, you know, get a puppy or get a kitten.
Yeah.
That's what you want to get, not a child. And that's the way I see it.
So
But,
sorry.
but again, at the end of the day, right, haven't said that.
No.
It's not that he's not making money, is he? So he's successful in some way.
He's a very short attention span, very, very short. You know, and I think he sees himself as a bit of an entrepreneur, which I do think he is.
Yeah.
He's had his his fingers in every pie, and he seems quite successful with it. But it's all fast paced.
Bobby, why did you have to mention having his fingers in it? That's just taking me right back to Belvale. Oh my God, that's taking me back to when I met him. Oh, why did you use that? And he's got big sausage fingers as well. Oh, I tell you now.
He'll be watching now, drooling.
Oh,
Anyway.
he's always watching me. He's obsessed with me.
So, speaking of issues, what issues do you think Danny G's got? I don't mean physical issues, I mean mental issues.
Mental issues. I think he's just one is not only it's a dangerous combination. He's not only a massive narcissist. Now this sounds a contradiction, but it's true. But it can happen. He's a massive narcissist, but at the same time, he's what's the word I want, Bobby? You know when someone is nervous because they want to be liked and they're nervous that they're not going to be liked.
Insecure.
He's actually really insecure and he covers it with bravado. And I've seen that in the theatre so many times. You get someone so loud, so when they'd be doing the job, doing the dancing or the acting, they'd be brilliant. But when you get them at that quiet moment, you'd see they were so insecure, Bobby.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. You'd think they'd shy away from wanting to be seen and noticed. But that's what they seem to do. It's like they're trying to hide the fact that they are insecure. So I think he's insecure, but he's also a huge narcissist as well.
Yes. Oh, his narcissism shines through 100%. And you can't tell me Tony doesn't see that.
Of course she does. Of course
I mean, it's the little things that he says. He said he wanted to go on holiday, this golfing holiday, and he's asking. He had these puppy eyes, and he's saying, Tony, I need to go on this golfing holiday with the boys, and he's got puppy eyes at, and she's saying how much, and he tells her, and then he said, have you seen the video?
Yeah.
Right, and then he says, he says to the young'uns, you know, I want money, I want it all early, and then he says,
His birthday, wasn't it?
it was his birthday, yeah, and then he says, but on my birthday, I'll still go for a game of golf and I still have a breakfast. So he wants the cake and eat it. And then in the same conversation, he says, look, for Christmas, Tony, just give me the money. Oh, and buy me a pair of trainers as well. It's all give, take. And
See,
he's one of those people, and that will not get any warm-hearted feelings from giving to his family.
Yeah.
You know, as I've said before, if somebody you love, close one, buys you something, it means something, regardless of what it is. You know, it's part of that friendship, that bond. And Danny hasn't got that with anybody.
That's what I mean. He's socially inept, even though he tries to make out he's loved by everyone. But you can tell he's socially inept. But the thing about it is that this, you know, give me, I want. It's a horrible situation that you get now where men, and I've said this before, men now seem to be perpetual little boys. They don't grow up, Bobby. They don't grow up, a lot of men now. Because the responsibility has been taken away. In the past, what did you have to do? Yeah, it was taken for granted. A man would find himself a wife, would have children. That's what you did. What you did. You went out to work to provide for your family. And women did. I mean, that's rubbish that women didn't. Women went out to work as well. But you got that right, Bobby. Might not have been perfect, but that was it. But when we see someone, especially us, not just us, younger people can see it as well. You see someone that's trying to make out he's a big, brave Viking and he's tough and all this, and yet he's a bum on benefits.
Yeah.
Who's not providing for his family. And then when he goes on, this big Viking, if he was conscripted into the army, which if he was a brave Viking, he wouldn't have to be conscripted, he'd volunteer. You know, he said, I'm not going to do it. He can't see where people are seeing that. He's calling himself out on this crap.
Yeah.
He's calling himself out.
The thing is, probably, for you know, the internet came around in roughly 2000. Before that, what was Danny doing? He was impressing a handful of people. Yeah. And he can't see that once you're in this, you know, World Wide Web, that anything you say, even the things we're saying now, can come back and bite you on the ass. It'll be there forever. It's there forever once you're on there. And there's people, and he's not used to justifying things. You see, that's the thing. And he thinks I'm too clever. You know, I can talk my way out of it. I can justify it. I'm too clever. He's very basic. He's very basic. But yeah, he's a sad character.
This is it. I think what it is, Bobby, is like none of us do. I never expected when it came onto YouTube to be like it is. I bet you didn't expect it to be like it is. You don't, do you? No. Until you're in there, you can never predict what's going to happen.
It's a tough place to be, and you've got to have thick skin.
Yeah, it is definitely.
There's people making videos about me, and you've probably had the same. And you know, sometimes, a lot of the time, I don't watch them. I'll watch the first couple of minutes and think this is nonsense. I'm not interested. And you've got to be like that. But going back to you know, your morals and principles that you get off your parents. When I was 15, ready to leave school at 16, I remember the night before I left school, my dad said to me, he says, "So what are you going to do tomorrow, lad?" I says, "I'm leaving school." He says, "No, where are you going to live?" I says, "Here." He says, "Well, if you ain't got some brass for your mum by Friday, you won't be living here, so you better get into a new job." Yeah. And that's how it was, you know, and he meant it.
And you know what, Bobby, the thing is, it had the effect that it always had, and that was that you got out there and made something yourself. And you had to make something yourself, because if you didn't, you couldn't. I mean, your families wouldn't dump you on the street, that's for sure. But no. It was a really different mindset.
Of course it was. My dad were doing 50, 60 hours a week. My mum were doing 40 hours a week. You know, we came home from school, me and my sister, to a pot of stew that lasted a week. And she used to just top it up on a night, did my mum, and say, when you get home from school, there you go. And my job, responsibility, was to light the fire in the morning or I go to school. So I was up at 6 o'clock, lighting fire. You know, it taught me responsibility, you know. And when you look at characters like Danny, Decker, you know, Shadow Boxer, where the hell have they come from?
This is what I can't get. If they're such big men, what they do? Well, I know Danny's living with his wife. You can't put Danny in that box.
No.
But Shadow Boxer and Ebenezer, what am I saying? Peggy, they're still at home.
Mm.
Now, there's nothing wrong with them being at home, a man being at home, because you can't get a property now. It's too expensive.
Well, this is
But
what
I'm saying is, if they're such big men, they would have made the way ages ago and wouldn't need that. But yet, it's weird.
They've ducked and dived, Dan. They've ducked and dived, and they've avoided responsibility all their life. I mean, yeah, when I got my first house, yeah, you could just get on the property ladder. You had to find a decent deposit to do it. But today, you know, my lad has to rent. My daughter has to rent.
Terrible now.
That ladder is just it's unreachable. But that's you know, progression. Well, I won't call it progressing, but that's, you know, that's how we've evolved, if you like, and it's a different world. But these guys we're talking about are probably, I don't know, a generation before us, and they were still, you know, they should have still had that get up and do it. And
I think what you can, I mean, look at someone like Danny Christie. I mean, he got up and did it, and Paul Venice. Even though I can assure you, I'm no fan of Paul Venice, but Paul Venice, all right, he's on benefits, but he's still, you know, a parent as such.
Yes.
He's still a parent. And so you do get it in degrees, but I can't say how they can put across, I'm a big hard man and all this. And yet they're not doing what they need to do, and that's take care of the kids and all this. The children, that's what is you couldn't have got away with behaviour like that in our day, Bobby. You couldn't have.
No.
You couldn't have. You wouldn't have been tolerated. Someone acting like they're still a teenager when they're in the 40s would never, ever, ever have been accepted. They would have been totally shunned, and that would have been the end of it.
Well, that's it. You wouldn't have been put. You wouldn't have had friends. People wouldn't, you know, they just say, we haven't time for that guy, we haven't time for him. Because, and at the same time, you've not got any common interest. Because, you know, what common interest have they got with a guy or a lady who works 40 hours a week and has a family or whatever? You know, what have they got in common with them? Nothing. You know, they want to be the next Andrew Tate. They want to be YouTube influenced, you know, and that's all they've got to sell. It's ridiculous. They've no stories. Like when Decker said, you know, I've got these stories to tell. He hasn't got any stories to tell because he's never done anything. You know,
that's what I mean.
Like yourself and me, even tonight, we've talked about pasts, you know, and what it was like in the past. You've got a story to tell, and that's all you want to. At the end of the day, listen, I'll tell you one thing, right? What my dad used to say, but quite a wise man was my father, and he used to say, listen, Bobby, there's two kinds of people in graveyard. One with a fat wallet and one with a story to tell. Make sure you're in right grave. And he was true. Because I used to say, when at first, when I was young, I said, what do you mean? He says, well, the guy with the fat wallet can't get comfortable, but the fellow with a story to tell, there's loads of people around him. And it's true. That's what it's about. And it's not about being the biggest and best, is it?
No, it's not about that. And there's nothing wrong at the same time. There's nothing wrong with being the biggest and the best. But it's how you put that across. And if it's true, because if you know it's not true, which it isn't in Danny G's instance, he isn't the biggest, he isn't the best. He's just arrogant. He's just full of himself and all this business. So that people won't adhere to that, but you can get people who are huge. Oh God, look, here we are. We're going back in the past now. So this is a name you'll know from our day. Wonderful entertainer, Liberace.
Liberace, yeah.
Now, Liberace was in your face, wasn't he, with his jewelry and all this, and his success, his bank balance. And remember this joke he used to tell? He said he used to go. He said, I remember going to the bank crying to the manager. He said, and now I've bought the bank. And he used to say things, but he'd be people who don't know me used to have these worth a fortune, these diamond and gold.
Oh, it was very anybody who didn't know, it was very it was an extrovert. It was very extravagant.
Very extravagant.
He wouldn't just have a piano; he'd have a gold piano, wouldn't he? He had to have.
But so he was. He'd have. Remember Fox Fair? He was the first one to be really camp, first entertainer to be very, very camping in your face. But people loved him because why? Because he was cute and endearing. It wasn't bragging and looking down at people. It was bragging and laughing with them, entertaining them. That's what it was.
He had that charisma, and that's what it's about. And he could relate. I mean, let's be honest. Who can relate to Danny G? Who can actually think? Who is there anybody that could actually be honest and say, I could sit have a pint or a chat with Danny G? I'm sure we get on. I don't think there's anybody could actually say that.
No,
because he's nothing to offer. He's nothing to offer. You would go and you'd have to listen. End of.
Yeah.
And it'd make you feel like you were inadequate. Like, should I be here? You know, because he's giving this this feeling of what's the word? Grandiose feeling. He's giving this you know, as if you're a servant. Now his family's willing to accept that. They're willing to accept that because that's what it is. It's all about him. But at the same time, I start thinking to myself, is the man poorly? Is he poorly? And what is he?
I don't think he's poorly. I think he's got, as I say, he's got issues, but they're not issues that you'd be sympathetic with or that he couldn't control. I mean, it's too easy to have issues now. I'm sorry, it's just too easy.
Yeah, it is.
It is too easy. You know, T. Guns just said Liberace was before his time. He made space. Well, this is it. People don't realize the Beatles, definitely Elvis Presley, would never have happened only for Liberace, because Liberace made it permissible for men to be like peacocks. But the Beatles said that. The Beatles said we owe a debt to it.
There was a lot of fear of coming out, if you like, in the 60s, because I can't remember what year it was, but late 60s, before it was actually legal to have a relationship with another same-sex person. And before then, especially in the entertainment world, it was shunned. You were shunned if that was the case. I mean, if you look back over Hollywood, you know, the amount of gay stars there were was unbelievable. They even married them off just to stop that chat. But yeah, he actually came and said, I don't care about sex. I don't care about anything. I am just me. He sold himself as being him.
No, what was Bobby with have you ever seen her put the name in the chassis? Have you ever seen the film Behind the Candelabra?
Oh, yes.
Oh, God. Well, that's about Liberace and tells you what the truth was. And it's a brilliant film. It's absolutely brilliant, brilliantly acted as well. And is it Michael Douglas? I'm getting mixed up.
Yes,
now.
Michael Douglas.
Yes, Michael Douglas is in it. But the thing was, it was the old idea, which was the same in regard to what happened years before to Oscar Wilde.
Yes.
Everyone knew, the Victorians knew what Oscar Wilde was, but as long as he didn't say it or didn't do it in public, they were okay. They loved him. They adored him. But once it became a public issue, they had to turn on him. Liberace. But Liberace, wait a minute, Bobby. Liberace was facing that many, many years afterwards, so he had to keep it quiet. Now, he's been absolutely slated because he didn't come out, even though people knew he was, as long as he didn't say it.
Yes.
It was okay. But they forget, in his time, like in Oscar Wilde's time, you could be ruined, Bobby. Ruined.
Yes, exactly. You had to fit that. And because he didn't, that's what made him a success. Now, who was doing all that before Liberace? Who was actually expressing themselves? Quentin Crisp.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Now, Quentin Crisp were doing this in the 40s and 50s.
But he wasn't known, was he, at that time?
No, but he refused to be anything but himself.
Yeah.
He absolutely refused. I mean, he had a sad life. He ended up living in America on his own, and he was an extrovert. You know, the guy said, I don't dust. I mean, if you've
Yeah.
seen the documentaries on it,
Oh,
he said,
yeah.
why dust? It's a waste of time.
It
And
doesn't get any worse after 4 years.
That's it. You can only get so far. And but to listen to the guy, he had so much charisma and character. It was, you know, it was a shame that he couldn't. He could have. I mean, in his later years, he did do the circuits. He did do talks, you know, and he one man shows. And I remember a friend of mine going to see him, and he got me a book signed. Because if you've ever read a book on Quincy, I mean, this is nothing to do with sexuality. For, you know, people, this is how small-minded some people are, Dan. It's nothing to do with what his thoughts were or anything like that. The guy was interesting, and that's and what I'm saying is, Liberace came along. He had a huge talent, but there isn't that much difference between them if you look.
What it was with Quentin Crisp as well was that it was The Naked Civil Servant, the film about him with John Hurt.
John Hurt, yeah.
That changed it. Now, we'll remember that. I don't know whether you remember when it was first put on television. Well, that changed it. Now, I'll just quickly explain to people why it's such an important film. That changed the world overnight in regard to homosexuality. What it was, they made a film of his book, television drama, I should say, The Naked Civil Servant, and it was shown on British television. And the day after, everyone went to Bobby. Everyone was talking about this amazing life this man had left.
It was everywhere. All the newspapers everywhere.
Before then, you couldn't even mention anything about homosexuality. And John Hurt said, because he wasn't a really famous actor at the time, he was warned, don't do it, don't do it. It will destroy your career. You'll never get another film, because another actor, I can't remember his name, acted as Orson Welles, and the trial against Orson Welles, which ousted him as homosexual. He never worked after making that film. He never worked. So John Hurt thought, no, I'm going to do it. He said, my God, he said, I knew it was a success when the next day after it was aired, he said, I got into a black cab, he said, in London, and the taxi driver turned around to me and said, oh, mate, I saw you in that film. And he said, you know what, those taxi drivers, if I could get my hands on those taxi drivers, because there's a horrible scene where this taxi driver drags him out and lets him get beaten up out of the taxi, doesn't he?
Right.
Do you remember that scene?
I vaguely remember it, yeah.
You didn't even blink. See, he's making out he thought it was, can't remember it. Go on, you didn't take
no.
Anyway, I'll finish what I'm saying.
I think it was more of a drama. It was more of a drama than a film, wasn't it? But
it was a drama, yeah.
But I do remember.
Shut up! I haven't finished my educating my public.
Hey,
I'm educating my public here. I'm educating my public. Anyway, what happened then was, America, this is so freaky the way this happened. America wasn't even going to show us, but something happened. I think it was the Super Bowl or something happened where it couldn't go on. So they put it on, and like that overnight, Quentin Crisp was a huge world star. And it changed people's attitude towards homosexuality forever, ever. So now I give you the floor, Bobby.
Well, yeah, John Hurt portrayed it really well. I mean, it was brilliantly how it was. The whole program was made really well. But I do remember, I think it had been about 17, 18, and there was talk about it all week.
Yeah.
I've heard about this that's coming on at weekend or whatever it was, and everybody was huddled around the TV waiting for this to come on, and there was a lot of talk in the media. Oh, they won't be able to put this on. They can't show that. They were giving it all that, and they did. He expressed himself in that movie, in that drama, and it said John Hurt played him very well, and you know, justified just how he were, and people were like, "Wow, that's unbelievable."
That he did him. But did you see where him and John Hurt? You'll see this on YouTube. This is beautiful, a clip of John Hurt meeting Quentin Crisp in. in New York, and Quentin Crisp was very old. And Quentin Crisp said the only thing he didn't like about it, he said, was the scene in the cafe. There's a scene in a cafe where all these men come in to rough up the gays. And one of them decides to pick on Quentin, and Quentin's up against the wall, and he's squeezing his hand, saying, "Come on, whisper in my ear, tell me you love me," and all this. So Quentin Crisp leans over and says, "Why don't you piss off Whispers? Why don't you piss off before they find out that you're really queer?" And Diggo said, Quentin Crisp said, the thing is, he said, I would never have done that, because he said, I was always a pacifist. He'd never face his corner, would he, Quentin
Right.
Crisp?
No, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't. He'd refuse to conform.
Yeah, he wouldn't conform, and he would not face his corner. If anyone insults me, just go, yes, thank you. He wouldn't fight
He
back.
No. But he was look. If anybody has never wondered who the hell Quentin Crisp is, go on YouTube and just there's a few documentaries, and it explains and there's a few interviews where he's talking, and you'll be amazed how much of a character the guy is, and he's a wordsmith, isn't he? He's a wordsmith.
Yeah.
He's very precise with what he says. He won't say it unless he means it. He's very much so.
He was amazing character, amazing.
Yeah.
But
that going back to, like you said, you move forward, 20 years, and you see this larger than life entertainer called Liberace. He's not a million miles away.
Oh,
because at the same, while when Liberace were young, he was. I mean, I do believe that they paired him up with a woman at one point. I don't know if they married him off, but to take that stigma away. But look, there's nothing that hides his sexuality. He's totally out there. It's obvious, isn't it? It's obvious. But how ridiculous is it that we've all to pretend that it's not there? That's what we were expected to do. It was crazy, wasn't it?
This, I say, like Oscar Wilde has said, if he kept his mouth shut, and Quentin Crisp had no sympathy for Oscar Wilde. No sympathy. No. He said Oscar Wilde asked for it. He said he knew what times he was living in, the Victorian times. He knew it was a crime. Yeah. And he said he decided to take Lord, whatever his name was, to court for slander. And he said, and of course he lost the case of slander because he slipped up during the case. But he said he just sort of laughed off what this Lord was saying about him.
Do you know anything about Lord Byron? Because apparently he was a maniac.
Oh, he was mad, Lord Byron. Mad, bad, and dangerous to know.
Yeah, but they all seem to have a talent, don't they? That if you take the madness away, the talent goes.
Yeah, they were all on. What was they had too much money. This is it, basically. Too much money, too much privilege, and of course, they were taking substances. Drugs are a new addition. They're definitely not a new addition. Yummy, sound nice. I can't make them. They always turn out wrong. What you talking about? Oh, cheesecake. Oh, Kelsey made cheesecake. Oh, Kelsey, before I just got to do this, Bobby, because oh God, she cries if I don't do this. Yeah, I had to do that. Judas Goat Slayer just been. Do you know that can Bobby Judas Goat Slayer?
No.
He's talking, or she is talking about Nas. Do you want to come on, Judas? Oh, you're happy in the chat?
Anyway, we've been quite. I don't know. We've not been around the world tonight, Jan, but we've been.
No, we've kept
calling you Jan now. That's my wife's name. Wow. Sorry, Jan.
Oh, that's your wife's name, Jan.
We've been around the world tonight in a small corner, but around the world.
And, well, I'm sure Danny will be absolutely amazed. It made up that we've actually mentioned his name. I mentioned Quentin Crisp and linked it to Liberace as well. I'm sure he'll be totally impressed by that.
Now,
We start off Danny G, then two of the most flamboyant homosexuals ever in history. I'm sure he'll
but yeah,
absolutely love
is it,
that.
you've also, you can have an opinion on Danny regarding these characters. You know, he wouldn't understand because he's the ultimate alpha male in his head. You know,
Oh,
he's the ultimate alpha male, and
you
you
know
know,
what? But Bobby, right? Look at them, right? Come on, I'll let you say this, right? When you're looking at alpha male, what you see as being an alpha male, and I bet it matches what I see as being an alpha male. Describe the traits of an alpha male.
well, an alpha male is usually it depends on what you're talking. You know, you can call a silverback gorilla an alpha male, yeah. But he's usually a leader, a provider,
Yeah.
and in a situation like panic, i.e., an house fire, they'd lead the way. That's an alpha male that would take control carefully and cautiously. But then there's the actually animalistic alpha male, which is Danny G. That just
I wouldn't call him an alpha male.
would you not?
That's where we separate. To me, I agree with everything you've said. An alpha male is someone that's in control, takes charge, protects the family unit, protects their own, and provides for their own. That's an alpha male. That's our idea of an alpha male.
The gorilla world is a fine example of how
that's
a silverback.
And people have not scared of, but should have sort of like, they know that that's the person that's in charge and you go to if you're in trouble, and they'll sort around. But with Danny, I'm sorry, he doesn't meet any of that. Being loud, being obnoxious, and this is a lot of them. Being loud, obnoxious, and I put Brett May in this. I put Shadowboxer in this. I put all of them in this. Being gobby and being a big lad is not being an alpha male. That is a young man trapped in an adult's body. I would not want them. I would not want them having kids because the children themselves.
Well,
and that's it.
It's you're right. You're right. It's they're very animalistic. You know, it's limited intelligence meets bully to me. It's a bit of both. The limited intelligence is unbelievable. I mean, look how Decker Egger is. You know, he just doesn't accept anything at all. You know,
He never does.
It's but them three. Could you imagine them three in a room? What on earth? You know, it's just.
I'll be a Hey, I've realised who that Judas Cook Slade is. You slipped up, Judas. I know who it is.
Right.
Craig's Ledge. Talking about video. I know it's you, Video Craig, Hedgehog Man, Skater Man. Yes, you slipped up. Craig's Ledge. It's one of Hedgehog Man's socks, isn't it? Got you spied. Anyway, so what else you want to talk about, Bobby, before I wind up?
Well, no, it's been lovely coming on, Anne, but unfortunately an hour is fine with me if that's okay with you.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? You tell me to book it off.
No, it's just I do another live once a week, and we stick to an hour.
Don't give me an excuse like I had Mandy the other day, booking it off. Just went like that. No.
Don't you say anything about my man and my Sharon.
Man, Sharon, tell you now, those two trouble. Nothing but trouble. I'm telling you now. Nothing. I'm thinking of getting back Kelsey to ban them because it's only since she starts hanging out with those two that she's been difficult and wayward. I can't get in touch with her on anymore. You know? I can't. But anyway, Bobby, thank you very much.
Yes. Listen, and we'll do it all again sometime because let's. What I do like about coming and having a chat with you when you're on is whoever's on with you, it doesn't matter. We seem to go away from all this nonsense, and we actually chat about interesting things, you know.
Yeah,
and you've got to be a little bit worldly sometimes. But yeah, I did come on to chat about Danny G and the situation. And we did, and we both. And I think everybody can take a little bit home from
Well,
what me
this
and Anne said.
we managed to talk about it. We didn't have Mandy or Sharon on because we'd had them on. It would have been about prolapses and things like that, you know. And I thought, oh no, and you know, and hot flushes.
She's having a go, Mandy.
Hot flushes and all that. Oh God, yeah, we're getting all that. So anyway, Bobby, thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you
and
too.
Thank you to everybody in my chat. And what I'm going to do, what I'm going to leave it all with. Do you know, I must get a little name. Here we are. I'll leave you with this old film of Sharon. Did you ever see that documentary about Sharon when she was she just become a nun?
Did she?
Yeah, and
Oh,
well, I sent Kelsey to her. She used to be in America then, and so don't be.
Well-
she's lost the American accent. You'll see in this
Right.
documentary clip, she's got an American accent.
listen, Anne, I'm going to disappear. I'll let you say goodbye to your subs, and I'll look out for your little clip.
Go on, bugger off. I mean,
Thanks again, Anne.
go on,
We'll
bugger
catch you
off.
soon.
Go on, get.
Love
Thanks
you.
anyway,
Love
Sam.
you.
Take care, Bobby. See that? Done it again. I'm just explaining about you, Sharon. I was going to play your clip again from that documentary, Sharon. And he book us off. See that. So anyway, what I'll do now is I will say good night to you all. And where is it? Where am I? Here we are. Is that the right one? Yeah.
Say it.
No, Mama!
Eve was weak.
No!
Eve was weak.
No!
Eve was weak. Say it.
No, Mama!
Say it.
This is a curse. This is like